which I'm teaching you to be very frank, Nikhil and Vasabi, especially as a fresher,
Yeah.
no one is going to teach you. And people are just saying that blah blah blah, ऐसे hota hai, that's all. But these are the
Yeah.
things which actually the experienced people supposed to know. What is locking, what is write operation in the database, what is read operation. So please focus on that and please understand the value of these concepts, because going
Yeah.
forward if you don't know this, there's a big problem. Well, so I was saying that when, let's say, one thread is trying to update a particular record, and at the same time another thread is trying to read that value, there might be a problem, right? He can get some
Yeah.
dirty data. That's called dirty read. In the world of technology, we are saying dirty read. So we don't want to keep a dirty read. It means if somebody is trying to read, I mean, write the certain things, we have to lock that. I will not allow any thread to write on the same record, and also I will not allow the other thread to read that. But do we need a lock in reading time? Answer is no. Reading is not required any lock. At the same time, 100 thread can go and read that. No lock is required. Because if you are not changing the state of a data, why you need lock? Lock is
Yeah.
required when you are changing the data state. Understanding this or not? This is very, very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
So try relating this concept with the banking transaction. Somebody is depositing and at the same time somebody is withdrawing. So let's say you have a joint account. One person is withdrawing the amount from that, and at the same time somebody is depositing. Can you do simultaneously? Can I allow this operation to be performed on the same account? Answer is no. That's, if you allow so, it will be a race condition. Either depositor can get a wrong information, wrong data, or either withdrawal can get a wrong data. So this called dirty read. That is the reason in Java, whenever you are dealing with such kinds of operation, we are writing a code in a thread safe way. That comes under
Okay.
synchronization concept. So whenever you are
Okay.
learning multi-threading, please
Yeah.
focus on synchronization. What is the role of synchronization? In one line, synchronization is making sure that at one particular time, only one thread will be executing this particular piece of code. It will not allow
Okay.
other threads to perform the same operation. Well, why I'm talking all this information? I'm talking about the transaction right now. In transaction, whenever you are doing insert, update, delete, only three operations are right operation. You need to do a transaction. Transaction is having the only two option. One is commit, another one is the rollback. Let's say you inserted the 100 records, and then after you gonna say to the database, okay, then you are saying, okay, I'm okay to commit these all. Then only the data will be reflecting into the table. But after inserting 100 records, you realize that, oh my god, I am entering the wrong data. Immediately go and call the rollback. So when you do rollback, the whole insert operation, whatever you did, it will be rollback. Not only insert, update, delete, any of this operation you are performing from a Java JDBC or a Spring JDBC, you must have to call the commit method or rollback method. Rollback method, basically we are writing whenever there is an exception. So whenever you are trying to insert some record and immediately you realize that, oh my god, there is an exception. So I don't want the previous record to be inserted. The moment exception occurs, immediately we're gonna call rollback method. So whatever previous transaction happened, it will be rollback. Take another real-time example. You are in the e-commerce website. In the e-commerce website, you have selected the product, added to the cart. Then after you are going for the payment option, you went for payment. Unfortunately, your payment is failed. So what will be now? There is a cart table, there is a order table, there is a history table, all these things. But what I want now, immediately order table have to remove that record because user has not successfully placed the order, right? Why? Because payment is failed. So while doing a payment, something went wrong. That's caused the rollback operation. So again, cart table will be removed, order table will be removed automatically. Getting the point or
Right.
not?
Yeah.
Similarly, let's take example of ATM. When you are going to the automatic tailing machine, you are swapping your card and you are trying to withdraw some amount. Something technically gone went wrong. Your whole processing happened. But what happened now? While final withdrawn time, something went wrong or you are not able to get the amount. What have to be done there? Again, roll back. If you not do roll back, then what will be? Either customer will lose the money or either bank will be a loser. But sometimes it
Right.
happens that for me, it's happened many times. I went to ATM, I tried withdrawing the amount, and final processing time, I got a slip saying that this much amount deducted, but I didn't receive the amount. What do you think?
Yeah.
Bank is going to make money? No. They have a very good software who is going to handle the transaction. So now you can understand the value of transaction in the database world.
Right.
So it's very, very important for us to understand the transaction management. If you know the database ACID properties, when you start reading about the database, then most important properties is coming ACID properties. A for atomicity, C for consistency, similarly isolation and durability. This have to be 100% consistent with any relational database system. Remember, I'm saying relational database system. I'm not talking about the NoSQL DB like Mongo. MongoDBs are not going to give you a guarantee for ACID. Okay, so if
Yeah.
somebody is asking you which database is best choice for banking system, you can tell them, of course, relational database. Why banking system is not using the NoSQL? Because ACID properties is not guaranteed there, you know. So in bank
Right.
system, every data is very, very crucial. Every operation is very, very crucial. So you cannot tell like I cannot bother about acid properties. I hope you guys have learned about it in your college days also and in your academic also. Automacity is telling you all the operation will be succeed or nothing will be succeed. Consistency is saying whatever table is having the commands like primary key, unique key, which all will be 100% according to the query. Isolation, at the same time, one thread will be allowed to do a particular row level transaction. And durability, once your commit is done, even though your source system is died, but means whoever is inserting the data, that is no more exist, but your data will be still exist in the table. So high level, this is the concept you must have to know. But now we're going to talk about commit and rollback. Just now I told you that in the previous example that commit is required whenever I'm doing insert, update, delete. But you have noticed that in my previous example, I didn't did anything like commit. Why I didn't did? Because Spring is having by default commit. Set commit is a true. So commit is already set true inside the Spring JDBC or even in the pure JDBC. So if you go to the manager
Okay.
class there in JDBC also, there is something called set auto commit, which is true. That is the reason I didn't did commit manually. But once you are in a Hibernate, you have to do a commit manually, guys. So now I will tell you that even though you are in a Spring JDBC, how you can get a control of the transaction. Means I don't want auto commit. I want to do commit. I want to do rollback. So that purpose, what else I have to do? Same example, only I'm going to add the transaction in this. So if you go to the config.xml, data source bean is still there, student template bean is still there. The only additional bean I have created is transaction manager, which is a data source transaction manager. This is the another library which is going to control the complete transaction of your system. So now, while creating a JDBC template bean, I'm not only passing the data source, I'm also passing the transaction manager. Now
Okay.
student Java is same, no change. Student DAO is same, no change. Only I have a create and list a student. I am not having the update and list. So you can add that there. And then we have what? We also have one student marks.java. So this guy is having the ID name marks related things. And one is student mapper. Another one is the student marks mapper. So this is required when you want directly raw data to be inserted into your model class. But if you don't want that, probably you don't need this mapper class. Well, come to the transaction part where I'm doing the transaction related things. So JDBC template, create method is still same, but I have written two additional piece of code here. Look at this. I'm saying I want to take the transaction status or transaction control in my hand. So you need to create a transaction definition object, and then after,
Yeah.
okay, so you have to define transaction definition, and then with the help of transaction manager object, which you have defined there, get the transaction under your control. So here is the status object, which is now completely under your control. So look at this, what I'm doing. While inserting the data into a student table and a student marks table, what I'm doing, I am finally calling in the line number 45 commit. If you don't do commit, then all the insert operation will be not succeed. The query will be executed, but in the database, you will be not able to see anything. Okay. So what I will do
Okay.
now, let me drop the existing table for a better demonstration. Drop table student. Yep. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this two query again. So one is student table. Uh-huh. Drop table student. Let's drop this first. Student mark is the another table, right? In fact, it is a marks. So marks table also dropped. Let's copy only student first. Student table created. Let's create a marks table also. And then under the marks table also it's created. Now, what I'm doing first time, I'm going to run this application against three records inserted and printing those three records. But the only thing I'm doing here is I define my transaction, but I'm not committing this. Let's see what's happening. Whether after running this program
Okay.
successfully, I'm able to see the record there or not. But here you can understand one more thing. While inserting the student record, what I'm doing, I'm going to the student table and finding the student ID. So this is the additional select query I'm doing because I need a student ID once I'm inserting the data into marks table. So from after inserting into a student table, I'm going to the marks table, student table, getting the student ID. And once I have a student ID, then I am inserting the data into a student marks table. And here is the transaction which I have committed. Let me see what is happening. In fact, okay, let's see first, then I will be running it again. So go to the main app and run this example. Can you see that I'm having the three records created and listing the student also? Do I have data in my table? select a star from student. No. Can you see that? Even though insert operation, everything went well, but the data is not committed in my system. You know why? Because I have commented the commit operation. Now let's do a commit and run the application again. Same thing happened, but I'm expecting this time data supposed to be there. And yes, we are right. We have now data because we did commit also. So this is the commit operation, guys. Remember. Now, imagine while inserting the data into this table, something went wrong. Your query is quite not correct. Okay. So let's say I put one additional comma here. So while put since I have put additional comma here, what will be, there will be a problem with the query execution. You will get SQL exception because query itself is not correct. So the moment update method will be executing, it will found SQL is not correct. So this commit will be not executed. Directly it will come to the try catch, and in catch block, what I'm doing? I'm saying rollback. Even though a
Right.
student record is successful, student data got successfully inserted, but I want to put all these operations into a single transaction. I don't want partial things. Are you getting my point? What I want is,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
a student table is success, then only a student mark supposed to be success, and vice versa. Any of this query is failing, I don't want partial data to be go there.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Okay. So this is the requirement. Many times you have a requirement like this. If all tables are proper, then only other table also have to go. So let's see now. I am going to delete this record from the student table. Delete from a student. So all three records is gone. And if you select now, there is no record. Let's run this example again and see what's happening, whether a student table is going to be succeeded or not. Oops, we got exception. But before that, you can clearly say that record creation. Okay. So while creating a record in the student, this query is not having any issue. This query is also not having any issue. The issue was with this query. But since this query is having issue, so this is also failed. I'm expecting there will be no student record also. Because even though whatever is succeeded, that will be roll back. So you guys understood or not? What is the meaning of transaction and how we can handle the commit and rollback? What is the role of commit and rollback?
Yeah.
What about you, Sana? Did you understand?
Yes, it's clear. Yes.
What about you, Vasvi? Understood
Yeah,
transaction?
it's clear. Yeah.
Super. So you guys have to work on this again, but I will tell you, this is again an old way. We have to not write this particular things. This piece of code I don't need to write. I don't need to write this one. I don't need to write this one. So let me try. If it is works, then fine. Else you guys have to fix this to work it on the different way. We are in the world of annotation, guys. So whichever method is a JDBC template wala method or whatever method is there, you just need to put at the rate of transactional annotation. That's
Right.
all. Spring made your life very easy. It's
Yeah.
saying you don't need to do lots of things. You just put at the rate of transactional. I will be handling the everything for you. If no exception, then your commit will be successful. If there is Any exception, automatically it will be rolled back. So with that, let it be same bad query, and let's run this and see what's happening, whether we are able to get the same features or not. So we got exception. My expectation is there will be no data in my student table, but it came one record. How? How? What is different? What is the other table we have created? It's a mark only, right? Marks, my bad. Marks table got data. What do we got here? Is there something wrong we did? One sec. Delete student. Okay. Let me run it again. Exception. Run it. I'm getting one record. And I'm also getting records in marks table didn't get record, but one record is sitting into the student table. How come? This is weird. You figure it out. So what we did is we put at the rate of transactional, and it didn't roll back. Okay. You can also put this over the class. Okay. Delete from a student. Let me run this again. So in industry, when you are working, this is considered as a bug and issue. So your manager can assign you these kinds of tasks. He'll tell you, hey, look at this. Query is failing and still one record is going inside the table. Can you look into that? And that's where you need to start looking into this.
Right.
What is wrong? These things you have to think about. So select a star from, and in fact, your client can also complain. They can tell you that my transaction is not proper. I'm still getting one record to be inserted. So this is how the problem is. So now you can
Can it
plain,
be
yeah.
can it be the fact that we declare it in configuration at the same time we use the annotation?
You mean the bean?
Yes, or it will not create a problem.
But I think we need to, okay. So Sana is saying this transaction is different than that transaction. So, okay, let's give it a try and see what's happening. Main app, run it. Java app. Oh, I need to save this. Main app, run it. Run a Java application. And see, you are absolutely right, Sana.
Yes.
Usually when you define at the rate of transactional, it is different than the transaction which you have defined over the bean class. So good catch. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. That's thanks to your courses.
Okay, guys. So this is itself a bean, and that is different bean. So while you have a two transaction in your system defined for the same operation, that we are doing some kinds of conflicts were happening, and results one unnecessarily record we are creating, or there was a conflict. So idea is either you use the bean level, or either you just transactional. So now what I'm going to do, I'm making this query 100% correct, and I'm expecting this would work as expected because we don't have any error now. Aha, there is a problem. One sec. So since we have a annotation, so this should be commented. Let it be the same, but in the configuration.xml, only thing we have to do is we have to remove this transaction. Okay, let's run it. So now succeeded. Let's see your table. 3 records in student and 3 records in marks. Yep, yeah, good, right? So how easy now? People used to write this many piece of code in the old days. These two, then commit, rollback. But now everything is done by just one annotation. In fact, you don't need to define a transaction bean also. Pretty simple, na?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got it? What is transaction? So please guys,
Yeah.
the code which you will be seeing right now in your Git repo, which is with bean, it is not with the at the rate of transactional. So please work on that and replace that transaction bean with the at the rate of transactional annotation. That's all. Okay. By the way, I have a separate topic here for annotation. If you are interested, you can go and work on this part also. But this example, I'm not going to explain you. I want everybody to put effort to understand this. This is quite real time and very good example. So what I will explain you here, propagation. Okay, so we have a DAO layer, have an author repository, we have a book repository, employee DAO, MPL, story repository. And then we have a service for similarly like this. Then we have a manager class, which is having the, where is the transaction? Yes, propagation. What is propagation in transaction? That is very, very important for us to understand. Okay. So whenever you will put, let's say, so while putting a transaction on any of your class and you put propagation as never, it means what? This particular operation will be independent of your transaction, whether exception occurs or not occurs. This operation will be independent. if you look at the propagation option, we have a nested, we have a not supported, required, required, new, support. So lots of things are there. So you need to understand it, guys. I will explain you quite in the MVC, but try understanding this. I have a operation O1, insert, operation 2, update. This is in table A, this is in table B. Okay. Now, I want these two operations should be a part of single transaction. So put on the class level itself at the rate of transaction. But what is the requirement now? My requirement is, even though this is failed, I want this to be a succeed. What we can do now? There is a different propagation. If I say at the rate of propagation, transaction at the rate of transaction, propagation never. It means doesn't matter exception occurs or not, whatever is success, whatever is success, whatever is failed, whatever is failed. So these kinds of things. Whenever you are saying propagation required, it means I'm mandatory saying no. Without transaction, this operation cannot perform. Then there is a propagation requires new. I'm saying this operation should be a part of another transaction and this operation should be a part of different transaction. So if you go to here, propagation never, mandatory means it's required 100%, which is by default, whether you are putting or not. Nested means based upon the previous transaction, it will be behave. Never means I don't care about transaction. Not supported, even I am not required transaction. Required, yes, it's required for this particular operation. Requires new means I want to perform my insert operation as a separate transaction, not dependent on the previous one. So I will highly recommend you to read about all these things, guys. And then after we will come back and understand it, this example as well. Okay. But to be very frank,
Okay.
this required a bit more concept which can be covered under the Spring MVC. And I will be covering that as well in the upcoming class. So tomorrow is Friday, guys, and we have our Navratra, which is almost second last day today. So I will not be able to take class tomorrow, but from Monday
Okay.
again, I just have one request to all of you. Will it be possible for you, at least for 1 week, to log in 1 hour before? Like right now, it's 8:30 a.m. IST morning. Will it be possible
Yeah.
for you to log in 7:30 a.m. 1 hour before the regular class time for just
Yeah.
1 week?
Yeah. That should be fine. Yeah.
What about you,
Yes.
Vasvi? Will it be fine for you as well? Hello?
Fine for me, but Tuesday I can't.
Tuesday you can't. Okay, so then we can
Yeah.
we not have the class on Tuesday. That will also fine because I will be quite busy. So Monday to Friday from next week, okay, that is from 18th, I will be having a class from 7:30 to 8:30. I cannot give you much time, guys, because I have some urgent work to finish, and you guys will also get a time to
Okay.
practice as well. So again,
Yeah.
from next week onwards, after that week, we'll continue with our regular timing. Okay, and hopefully it will
Sure.
not take much time to finish. But please practice. Tomorrow there is no class. We will see you Monday on 18th,
Okay.
7:30.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine, Sana, with you?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Okay, then thank you. Next class, we're gonna start the
Thank
Spring
you.
MVC. Okay,
Sure.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay. Thank you.
have a good day. Bye bye, guys.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.